Pandora's Planet by Christopher Anvil. So this book was copyright 1972, and I have this DAW paperback of this one. And if you'd like, you could pause and read the back of this. We have cover art by Kelly Freas, and even though this was published in 1972, it was a short story that was originally published in Condé Nast in 1956 and then later put in a compilation by John W. Campbell. And we have some interior art as well in this one. So this is kind of a new thing that me and my wife started. We're calling it the wife's wildcard pick. It's kind of in a way doing this like randomizer. I've seen a lot of people in the past randomly pick some books. I think one of the first people I saw do this was Robin over at Bookspin. And he has a book spinner and he'll spin it and it'll kind of force him to not just go straight for the TBR and try to pick something out a little bit more obscure. And most of what I have in my library, I intend on reading someday. There's just books like this that probably would have taken a while for me to get to. And so my wife, she has her own kind of criteria. I asked her what it is. She definitely likes cover art and she likes animals, but she also will try to pick authors I haven't read before. She'll look up some reviews on Goodreads. She'll do kind of a combination of things. She's looking for books that are maybe different from what I'm normally reading to kind of mix it up. And so far it's been a lot of fun. Now, this book I really enjoyed in the beginning, but I quickly got tired of the premise and the writing and the characters of this one. I'll get to that one in a minute, but it had a really interesting, kind of funny setup and premise, but about a third of the way through, it kind of became a struggle after that. Now, what this book is in the future, we have this race of aliens, and that's what's depicted on the cover here, and they're called Centrans, and they're described as like a cross between a human and a lion, and they have a lot of brute force, but they are not that intelligent. So they've been cruising around the galaxy, discovering alien races and conquering them and kind of putting them into their galactic civilization, kind of assimilating them into this big, broad galactic civilization they have. And so they ended up coming across Earth, and they kind of quickly overpowered us as humans. We really hadn't had any kind of space program, at the time. And so we were stuck on this planet, and they were technologically advanced and they had the strength to conquer us. But they quickly learned that humans were smarter than them. And so as they started trying to kind of subjugate the human race, they started losing the smaller battles, and they lost them from all these kind of interesting ways. If you think of the human race and some of our more negative qualities, this is what actually kind of ends up working in our favor to kind of get out from the rule of these aliens. So if you read the back, it's things like predatory loans, communism, fascism, capitalism, planned obsolescence. They open up dealerships and try to sell these aliens cars and get them into loans they can't afford. They go to other planets eventually and over-extract their natural resources and kind of create these boom and bust economies that end up destroying some of the rule that these aliens have on these planets. All these things that we normally consider as some cons end up working in our favor, and it's a very kind of clever concept. It sounds very absurd, and it is, but the way this book is written, it's all written from the point of view of two of these aliens, these generals. And so you're hearing their side of the story, And most of these kind of absurd things that are happening are coming back to them in reports from some of their other, aliens that are in this race. And so you're not really reading about that as it's unfolding through the story. It's just kind of coming back, like I said, in reports. And they're very frustrated. They don't know how to handle these humans. They're trying to come up with different ideas, but they realize real early on that humans are more intelligent than them. And so they're getting outsmarted left and right. And as they struggle and are getting frustrated by this, you as the reader, you're rooting for the humans, but you're just reading it through the point of view of these aliens. So it was a really clever concept, but it just it got old pretty quick. So about a third of the way through, I kind of saw where this was going. You don't have a lot of emotional attachment to the two main characters. You're not really supposed to, because they're the ones trying to dominate the human race. And so it just kind of became a slog for me to get through, I would say, about the last 2/3 of this book. But other than that, I enjoyed the premise and the idea. And Anvil's writing is good, but it just kind of really drug on for me. Now, like I said in the beginning of this one, I found out this was a short story, and I thought maybe this book would just do better as a short story and not be kind of drug out. But I did a little research, and apparently the short story is just maybe like the first chapter or so of this book. So it's not like they took this whole story and condensed it down, or he blossomed it from the short story. He basically just wrote more and more on to the end of the original short story. So I'm not even sure that would be something I would really recommend. But Christopher Anvil's writing was good enough. If I see another one of his books out there, I may or may not pick it up. I guess if it has a good cover art to it, or maybe the premise on the back looks good, I might give it a try. But this one didn't quite do it for me. But, I'm still happy my wife's picking these books out, and I'm reading them occasionally in between some of my other reads. And I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So the next book she picked out is The Girl from Emeraldine Island by Robert S. Blum. And this is another one I got, I think, this one in a big lot one time from eBay, and I looked up the synopsis and some of the reviews, and it was interesting enough for me to keep it into my collection. And so she picked this one out, and I'll read this one next. I'm not going to read it right away. I'm just kind of mixing these in, maybe once a month, maybe a little bit longer than that. But just look for that one coming out in the near future, and we'll see you in the next video.